within these, you'll need a few tools. You'll need a chair. You'll need a rolled up yoga mat. You'll need a rolled up towel. Okay, and I want to show you 4 exercises that are going to help you with your knee and hip recovery. Okay, so you ready? Okay, here we go. We'll start with what I'm going to call the marching thinker. Okay, so it's going to be 4 exercises. The marching thinker. We're going to do a chair stretch for your quads. We'll do a VM strengthening, and then we'll do a release for your quads. Okay, so starting with the marching thinker, right? Comfortable stance for both feet, and you want to really keep the pelvis fixed in place, and just really keep that fixed and lift one thigh, right, without moving the pelvis. So the pelvis stays steady. So here's our march, right? So marching, and then just get used to that a couple of times, lifting that thigh up without the pelvis moving. So the marching is there, right? Once you feel steady with that, you can add the arms in. One elbow front, one elbow back, so you get a little bit of arm work in there too. So here's our march, okay? And then let's go on to our thinkers. So when you finish lifting, we'll reach the thigh back and lightly touch the toe down. And we'll come into a position now where we'll move the pelvis. So pelvic wheels, if you had a wheel on either side of the pelvis, moving into forward motion. So spilling water out of the front of your pelvic bowl, if your pelvis were a bowl. Knee tracking right over your second toe, and then come back on up. So I call that one the thinker because when we add the arms in, it feels a little bit like the thinker, the Rodin statue, right? So you can continue your arms in that sort of like running shape though. All right, so let's tie the two together, okay? So you're lifting the thigh, the pelvis stays fixed. Reach back. Folding at the hip crease as you keep the weight really primarily on that front foot. And we'll do 4 all together. Lift, 2, 3, 4, reach back and tilt as you sink. Right over the second toe goes that knee. And let's do 2 more like that. Lift, 2, 3, 4, and tilt, 2, 3, 4. And last one, here we go. The march, march, march. Fixed pelvis, and then rotating, folding at the hip crease. Now let's do the second side, okay? So shift your weight on your other foot, and then lift, 2, 3, 4, reach, and fold, 2, 3, 4, and lift, 2, 3, 4, and fold, 2, 3, 4, again, lift, fixed pelvis, fixed pelvis. And if you're not sure if you're doing it or not, then just keep your hands on your hips so you keep that steadiness, and then you know when you're moving, you can kind of effort with your thumbs a little bit. Okay, that's our marching thinker. So that's the first one. The next thing we're gonna do is we'll do a quad release with the chair, and we'll go ahead and, let's see. All right, we'll go ahead and using a chair with no arms and no wheels, we'll slide over to the side so that you're half on and half off, and gently, in a straight line back, reach that thigh back, okay? You're gonna go easy here. Make sure you feel steady. If you don't feel steady, right, depending on the depth of the chair and the length of your legs, you might need to slide forward so your feet feel really stable, okay? And once that's in place, you can even hold onto the chair. Make sure you have a good steady chair as well. And then as you slide that thigh back, you're gonna work the action again from the pelvis, belly button lifting, tail dropping. So you can do this a couple of ways where we're going ultimately for a stretch for the hip flexors. And this is a milder way to kind of go into it than a lot of other ways. So we'll start by coming into, if you're comfortable with lunge, supported lunge, right? And then really working the lift of the belly and the tuck of the tail. Then you're gonna slightly bend that knee, and you're gonna still feel that stretch into the front of the hip there, the front of the quad there. Okay, so we can lengthen a little bit and bend. And as you bend, you wanna keep that tail dropping and the belly lifting, and then keep that in place as you reach, and then bend, and then reach, and then bend. And it's okay if your knee is a little more bent than mine is, that's A-okay. You go with where your body feels good. So that's our stretch for the quads in the chair. We'll do the other side, so you can do it with me, right? You can play through this whole video and do the stretches with me. It doesn't take a long time. Slide to the side. Make sure you feel stable. You can slide your foot directly back. You don't want your foot to be out to the side so we don't have any torque on the knee, right? Now, you can check where your pelvis is, see if you feel comfortable, belly lifted, Find your lunge as much as feels good, right? Really support it from the front. And then bend that knee, let the tail drop, let the belly lift, and lengthen and bend and lengthen. So just a little bit of a dynamic movement as we get into this stretch. If you have issues with the knee, the first thing you want to do when you're opening up the quads is to work with the thigh back action, right? Thigh back. It's much more complex to do the two actions that will ultimately be necessary, which is thigh back and working your heel toward your tush. That's our sort of action for full range of motion. So this is a good stepping stone. All right, let's do one last one, reaching the thigh, letting the bend happen, but really working the pelvis. So that's our second exercise. So we did our march, we did our chair. The next one will be the VM exercise. So we'll lose our chair. And for the VM exercise, we'll use our rolled up towel. We'll have a seat and put that rolled up towel about this size. You're gonna put that underneath the back of your knees. You can lean back. And this one, you wanna think of the kneecap. Visualize the kneecap straight up toward the ceiling. I like to say chiclet toward the sky. So chiclet toward the sky. You'll push the back of your knee down and effort to straighten bring the lower leg up till the lower leg is straight with the upper leg, and then come on back down. So you can take 4 counts. So you're pushing down to lengthen and then lowering back down. Ideally, we're efforting to connect to the lower parts of the quad muscle. Okay, so the quad is in 4 parts. 1 part crosses the hip, 3 parts cross the knee. Specifically the VM, the vastus medialis, the middle part of the lower part of the quad. And the vasti group is in charge of the straightening of the knee. Now, particularly the last 5%. So you push down to lengthen, keep your foot relaxed if you can. Now, the hip flexor might try to jump in, to join in. Once you get the hang of this and you really feel clear with what you're doing, you can even bring your fingertips to just above the kneecap and a little bit toward the middle. And if you press in there, you can see if you can feel that VM muscle popping into your fingertips so you know that it's working. You might have to wake it up. You can tap that muscle a little bit with your fingertips. And then as you straighten, you're going to hold it, right? So you can come up and hold. And then we'll do a little pulse, just dropping down a little bit. And we pulse, and you'll feel that muscle pop into your fingertip. Now, as I said before, if your hip flexors are kicking in, once you have the hang of this and you really can feel that you're doing it, then you can do this lying down as well. Okay, so we'll do it seated upright since we're just kind of learning and putting it together, but you can do it lying down once you feel comfortable, and that will kind of keep this upper part of the hip out of it. Let's do 4 more, and 3, and 2, and 1. Now the other side, push the chiclet to the sky, push the back of the knee down, keep the foot relaxed, straighten 2, 3, 4, and lower down. 2, 3, 4, straighten, 2, 3, 4, check your alignment. Palpate the VM muscle. Right? I like to use visualizations. I like to think of the Incredible Hulk, and when you see those muscles just above the knee, it's that middle one we're going for. Push to straighten, 2, 3, 4, and down, 2, 3. Let's do 1 more. Push to straighten, 2, 3, 4. Now let's do our little pulses. Let's drop down, and we go pulse and pulse and pulse. You don't want to jam hard, but you do want to go from that 5 degrees of bentness to straight smoothly. Let's do 8 more, 7, 6, 5, and you can feel that VM working. And then release. Last but not least, we'll do a release for the quads using the rolled up yoga mat. So what we'll do for this one is you'll take the mat. You're going to have the mat be just below the pelvis, okay? So it's going to be like at the tops of your thighs. All right, so what we'll do is come onto your abdomen, and then you'll situate the mat to the tops of your thighs, belly firm, and the mat is going to be underneath you to the tops of your thighs. Now you can rest your body down, belly firm, and hips pressing down a little bit. Now with the mat toward the tops of the thighs, you want it to stay parallel with the legs, and then slowly fold. And then slowly come down, belly firm, hips pressing, and slowly fold, 2, 3, 4, and lengthen. You could do this one leg at a time as well. Once you've kind of done the first part, you're going to kind of just walk yourself forward, which will be a little bit of a massage itself, and then fold 2, 3, 4. So the rolled up yoga mat stays in place, and you walk your body forward slowly. Okay, so just moving to release through the quads. And then you can walk yourself forward. Belly firm, hips press, and fold. And you do this a couple of times. You could do it 3 times or 4 times. You want to kind of work the full length of the quad, right? The whole front of the thigh. And then walk yourself forward. I've done some other variations on these ones where you do rotation in the legs. We'll just keep it simple for today, right? But you can also explore some of those other variations. This one, we'll just keep it simple because we have 4 exercises all together. And you just do the last one you do just, above the knee, stay on the soft tissue. So that's it, guys. So we've done a couple of exercises there. I hope that's helpful. So just to recap, we did the marching thinker. We did the quad stretch on the chair, a little more accessible, the vastus medialis exercise, and then the release for your quads on the rolled up yoga mat. So I hope that's helpful. This is a couple of exercises for you if you're working for knee recovery, hip recovery, and you have those tools. I hope they're helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Thanks. Mwah. Bye.